I spent years doing the keto diet to lose weight and was successful, but I have the remnants I'm going to call keto brain left, where my brain tricks me into thinking a half a cup of half and half is healthy and carrots or quinoa are not. So today we're going to talk about keto, the lasting impacts, if it's good, if it's bad, and what are some pitfalls to really be aware of. My name is Lila. This is the Virtual Natural Healing Clinic, where we believe that health and happiness are your birthright, and it's time that you claim it. If you are dealing or managing with chronic symptoms, chronic mood issues, chronic digestive issues, or pain, you deserve better, and we highly recommend you reach out to the clinic for some one-on-one personalized support on your healing journey from a very heart-centered, compassionate, and rooted place that really focuses on getting you results where others have not been able to. Okay, so let's talk about keto. I went on my keto journey probably 7 years ago-ish. I'd have to really sit down and think about when it started, but I had been a chronic dieter my entire life, always trying to lose weight, and I was overweight just from being a kid. That was just what I got dealt, and I finally started a program, and for the first time in my life, consistently, I'm able to take off weight. And this program involved basically doing a lot of keto, a lot of fasting, intermittent fasting, a lot of prolonged fasting, and then we would cycle things. There was some stints where you would kind of phase your diet. So you would go vegan for a bit, you would continue with the fasting and their intermittent fasting, and everything, even when you were kind of phasing, still tended towards moderate protein, high fat, low carb. And then there was some phases where you did up your carbs a little bit. So this worked really well. My partner and I at the time lost a lot of weight. We had the good mental clarity and we had the energy and all the things that people talk about when they go keto. But there were some problems to this methodology of losing weight. And I won't say this goes across the board for everybody, but I think it's a very big pitfall that we need to be conscientious about and talk about. So now I am not a fan of the keto diet. I say it can be a tool used in the short term to help with certain chronic health conditions and to give people a clear way of eating that's easy to stick with. And it all just depends on who the person is, what the situation is, and what you're trying to accomplish. But as a lifestyle and long term, I definitely don't recommend it. And I think that part of the conversation needs to get a little broader, and we need to talk about how weight loss does not equal health. So at the end of my weight loss journey, and I was doing this on and off for a few years, I had lost a lot of weight. I was probably at my lowest set point from I can remember in my adult years, and I looked good, but I felt like shit. I was so hungry and so moody, and I didn't have a period for over a year, and I had really bad insomnia. I was just living in a hyped up, cortisol driven, adrenal fatigued state, and I was pushing really, really hard, and this diet supported that. So what a lot of people don't talk about when we're going on high fat and we're doing intermittent fasting and we're skipping breakfast but we're drinking coffee, we're basically pumping our adrenals and making them work really, really hard, and we're living in this kind of stressed out fight or flight state, which kind of gets masked and seen as high energy and feeling good, but you have to pay for that on the back end. And I spent a lot of time paying for that. And so as part of this journey, I've had eating disorder issues most of my life, but this weight loss journey really brought them to the surface. So everything I was doing was promoting to restrict, eat less, fast, don't eat in these time windows. And so it got to the point where I was over restricting. I wouldn't eat till 2 p.m. My window would end at 8 p.m. I couldn't eat enough food in that time. And during that time, there were so many foods that I was afraid of or that came off of my list that the foods that were left were few. And so a lot of times I'd go places or be about and wouldn't have things to eat. And then I started really prioritizing calorie restriction, and I would vomit up a good portion of my meals. I'd say probably like 50 to 60% of my meals I would purge, which isn't necessarily an issue with keto, but it does kind of play into the entire diet mentality of do less, move more. I thought I was being good when I did this. I was giving my body less calories to deal with, which should make me skinnier. But I know logically that's not healthy or true. That was coming from a disordered place of thinking. But these diet cultures and health influencers and wellness bros really do promote this type of thinking. So as I was going on this journey, I was swapping out my oatmeal breakfast with lots of fixins, nuts and berries and seeds and things for things like coffee with just a crap ton of half and half or heavy cream. Like I was living off dairy and heavy cream, and I don't actually think that I do dairy very well. And one of the signs that you go on with keto is your body really doesn't produce enough bowel movements. So I constantly felt backed up and having problems, doing the bathroom things. So at this time, because I was losing weight, I ignored all the issues going on in my health. I ignored the fact that I was moody and irritable and agitated and I didn't sleep well and I just didn't feel good, even though parts of me felt good because I was losing the weight and I had more energy in the morning. There are definitely signs and things like losing your period for an entire year that are red flags, or the fact that I would just be so hungry, I would cry at night, and just like crazy moody and irrational and just unmanageable. It was unmanageable, honestly. It got to the point where like, I'm not going to say I was, but things were bleak. So what this has left me with, is for a while, my echo chamber, my worldview, my purview was surrounded by people promoting the ketogenic diet. I'd watch their YouTube videos, I'd read their cookbooks, I'd listen to their blogs and their podcasts and their articles, and you get so immersed in it, you think it's the truth. And you think that anything outside of this paradigm must be faulty. I will, as a side note, say that this is why I went off to study functional nutrition, was because I was looking for the one true diet that was out there. And I wanted to find it because I didn't feel good doing keto, but I thought that was the only way to live based on everything I was hearing and the echo chamber that I was stuck in. So as I was going through this journey, or as I'm off this journey, and I've, done a lot of healing on myself and a lot of education, and now I help other people with their health, I will say I still have so many remnants of keto brain. Me and my little sister call it our keto brain. And when we want to do something kind of disturbing, because in the name of keto, we think it's healthy, we write it off to, oh, that's our keto brain again. So this is, skipping breakfast in honor of eating a half a cup of whipping cream, or just excessively eating dairy and cheese and meat, things that are really heavy and hard to digest and problematic in our culture. I will save my dairy rant for another video, but most people, I venture to say, have issues with dairy. And especially with the type of dairy that's consumed in America, the way that we're consuming the dairy in America, it's not something that's easily digestible. And this dairy piece can cause issues on its own. And then there's the piece of, you get afraid of certain carbohydrates and certain foods that are really there to serve us. And what happens is we come out of balance. Our bodies need balance. They need a balance of protein and fat and carbohydrates and fruits and vegetables. And that balance looks different for everybody. And when we start ignoring our bodies in favor of this external macronutrient count that we're trying to hit, then we can go a couple years ignoring some serious symptoms that tell us we don't feel good. So what I want to just iterate here is that diets like the ketogenic diet are not in balance. And while they might be okay short-term tools, depending on the person, the context, and what we're trying to accomplish, they are not good lifestyles for most people. And we really have to weigh the pros and the cons before utilizing a diet like that with someone. I think these diets, the biggest disservice they do to people is they bypass individuality. And we have people influencing and talking about and promoting these things on the whole as if it's something that everybody should be doing, without realizing that everybody's so unique and we're not taking this into account. There are plenty of people that can thrive on the ketogenic diet. There's a handful of them, they're out there, but there are plenty of people on the diet who it's going to be net negative for over time. I'm going to say especially females dealing with any hormonal imbalances. It's going to be a problem with. And I'm kind of lumping intermittent fasting and keto together, but it's really hard to do keto without dairy, in my opinion. And it kind of just feeds into this whole complicated mess of how we think what is healthy. So I want to know what your experience with the ketogenic diet has been. If you have any specific questions, I know that was a little bit on the broad side. And if you felt that it has impacted your behaviors or mindset in any sort of way, and what you'd like answered about it. I'm Lila. This is the Virtual Natural Healing Clinic, and we'll see you next time.